Are you tired of Darkrai EX and Giratina EX showing up half the time in ranked, and the other half of your matches being dominated by rare candy decks boosting out quick EXs like Charizard EX or Incineroar EX? I built this brand new deck. I've never seen this deck before. Has anybody seen this? I started out with Oricorio to fight against the Darktinas, the Charizards, and Incineroars, but instead of going the typical Snorlax and Greninja ping, I wanted to try Crobat ping, alongside a double Arceus Ilima package. Let's look at the deck in action. Like I said, all I'm playing against is Darktina and Rare Candy Charizard EX and Incineroar EX, so you're gonna get to see the game plan and see it play out against these decks. I got a couple nice games ready, queued up for you here. So first match, we are up against what looks like at least a Charizard EX deck, maybe an Incineroar EX deck, also probably playing Rare Candies, they all are. Our opening hand was basically the worst possible opening hand this deck can give you. It was an Arceus that we were forced to put up front, the normal Arceus, and then all we ended up with was a Zubat that we can put on the bench. Now, we were able this match to get a quick rare candy into the Crobat, which is good. And I'm going to show you a match here also where this deck can win off of the crazy power of just Crobat early as well, because we are playing Dark Energy and Lightning Energy in this deck. Let's take this match as a perfect example. Let's say this Charmander had attacked in on turn 2 into our Arceus. Because we have the Ilima in hand, which is a great thing to start with, this is really one of the really powerful, surprisingly powerful things about this deck is always leading out with like the regular Arceus. They're going to hit it once or twice if you're playing Darkrai. We're going to see that later. And then you just build up everything you need to stall the game out and win on your bench while you're taking a couple hits on the Arceus, and then Ilima bounce it back to your hand. And we could have actually Ilima'd back and brought in the Crobat if we had had the Dark Energy and if our opponent would have attacked with the Charmander. I was surprised they didn't attack with the Charmander. So we're starting with one of the worst hands we can basically start with, potentially, debatably. And yet, look what our opponent had started with. Just right off the bat, started off with the Rare Candy Charizard EX, which is one of the best draws that that deck can have. So the basic attack plan of this deck is simple. You're going to stall. Typically, you're going to end up starting with like an Arceus out up front. It's going to take one or maybe two hits, a couple pings maybe from a Darkrai. Then you're going to Ilima it back to your hand. In this game, unfortunately, we weren't able to do that just because of the way things played out. They got the early Charizard EX. You can't Ilima back anything when that happens. Now, I would have brought the Crobat out here typically, but because of the way this specific match played out, I actually ended up building up the Arceus EX on the bench. By the way, you can always just bring your Crobat out because it has no retreat cost, but I already knew I was going to use the Arceus EX. Because we already got to get 2 pings, we were able to finish off the Charizard EX. Once again, my opponent having a basically perfect start, okay, boom, Rare Candy in the Charizard EX, boom, Rare Candy in the Incineroar EX, but the Incineroar EX is not ready to hit for the full 140 yet. All it's going to be able to do is hit us for 30, and then we've got options. We can use the Ilima, or we could even retreat. We've got a few options. I opted for the Ilima, just thinking about the Cyrus. I'm not sure if this was the totally correct play or not, to be honest. And then pretty much every match you play with this deck, like ultimately you're going to end up with 1 or 2 Oricorios out there, especially since you're usually able to get this really good stall with both of these Arceus and Ilima. The deck is such a good stall deck that's able to very consistently get pretty much the exact setup you see now on the board. Now, I debatably made another mistake here. I couldn't decide if I wanted to put that Arceus EX back out on the bench or not. We already had the one Arceus. I was thinking, okay, maybe they're going to Sabrina me. Maybe I'm going to have to sacrifice the basic Arceus on the left. But given the way the match was, and I'm kind of relying on these decks. If you look at these, I've covered this deck a lot on my channel, the Incineroar EX Charizard EX deck. So by the way, if you're interested in that deck as well, go and check out the other videos on my channel. And just while we're at it, if you're interested in high-level ranked play, tournament plays, meta coverage, I will ask, please consider subscribing to my channel. It would really help a lot in these early stages for me. Now let's get back to the game. So like I said, I have a lot of experience with this deck. Pretty much every tournament deck of this Incineroar Charizard doesn't ever play any Sabrina or Cyrus. I don't know if that's ever going to change, but from every tournament list I've seen, every top tournament list, it just never happens. So when I go into this matchup, I'm typically banking on them not having any kind of Sabrina Cyrus type stuff in the deck. But I did still debate that Arceus EX play, and it may have ended up been a mistake. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and think about that one. So basically, we got our perfect game plan. We were able to stall, use an Ilima or two. We are okay losing the Oricorio here because we've got the second one in our hand. All right, so our Crobat, we're just going to send the Crobat out, and then it's got the free retreat cost. You can just always keep that in mind. You can just always send the Crobat out there, and then you get the option next turn, depending on which way you want to go. You can just always get the free retreat, and you have all your choices available to you. And at this point in the match, unless the opponent has something very specific, there's basically no way we can lose anymore with this Oricorio wall. So this match pretty much perfectly showcases how this deck plays out and gets these very consistent wins against both this and the Darktina EX, which I'm going to show you. But first, why don't I show you one more really funny win against this Charizard EX Incineroar EX type deck, showing you the power of Crobat early can just be so strong. And check this out, going up into Ultra Ball rank 4, we're on a 4-game win streak heading into this match. Just one of multiple longer win streaks I've had in these higher up ranks. So yeah, another cool thing about this deck is because we're playing the Dark Energy, you know, most Arceus EX lists that you see playing Crobat, they're all playing the Carnivine variant that's playing just strictly Grass Energy. Every time I've gone against it, it has been, and I think all the tournaments decks are as well, just pure Grass Energy. When you go just pure Grass, you lose out on these really crazy possible turn 3s or turn 4s if you're going second, but you know, turn 3 probably the best. Here it's going to be our turn 4, where that first turn that you get to play that rare candy, you get to just absolutely smash with the Crobat and just keep the pressure up that way. And that's exactly what we're going to see in this match. We're going up against another Charizard EX deck. They're all over the place. They're looking for the rare candy. They can't find it in this match. That happens a lot. I just made my Charizard EX, Incineroar EX, good, bad, ugly deck kind of review video and talked about how that's one of the bad things, the inconsistency of the deck. And we're able to take advantage of it. Boom, getting up to a 5-win streak, shooting us into Ultra Ball rank 4. All right, how about Darkrai Giratina? Well, big surprise going into Ultra Ball rank 4, still on that win streak. Boom, it's the first deck that we end up playing against, and this was a great match to showcase as well. Still continuing this win streak. Let's see how far we can get it. Our opponent's start is about as good as it gets. They've got one Darkrai EX, one Giratina EX. They get the third Darkrai EX so they can choose to build up the front or the back one, either one they want to do. So pretty much basically a perfect start from the opponent. On our end, we've also got a pretty good start. We've got a normal Arceus, Arceus EX, and 2 Oricorio, which is going to be like the key card for the matchup, obviously. Because we're playing the Dark and the Lightning Energy, of course, it is possible to stumble. I did consider energying up the Arceus EX there because of the fact that I saw we had 2 Dark Energies coming instead of any Lightning Energy, and especially there's going to be a third Dark Energy. So at that point, yeah, I'm definitely going to start building up the Arceus EX. We've also got the Ilima, in hand, which is very good as well. So we're going to soak up these 2 hits. This happens a lot. I've played the Darkrai and Giratina matchup quite a bit, and this is a very common start where you're going to soak up 2 of those first 2 Dark Energies with the normal type Arceus, either one up front, and then Ilima it back to the hand. But our opponent ends up having a red card and decides to use it, which I don't know if that was really a great red card or not. I don't know. Like, we had 3 cards in our hand. I don't know that there was really any way for them to know whether the 3 cards were good or not. I'm not sure. What do you guys think about that red card? You can leave a comment if you want, but they just so happen to randomly hit that Ilima, making it so that we can't end up Ilimaing that Arceus back in our hands. So that actually hurt quite a bit, to be honest, in this match, but usually we're able to get that back up into our hand. I feel like there was some luck on that, honestly. Now, one big thing here in this match is they have no tools on their Pokemon. A lot of times they're going to be running Spiky Helmet. They're going to put that Spiky Helmet down, but here I'm ready to go ahead and take advantage of the fact if they don't have any tools, if they don't have any Spiky Helmets, then when you have a lineup like this, 2 Oricorios, things are feeling really good. And of course, the second that I'm thinking that in my head, oh, okay, this might actually be an easy win for once, then of course they lay down the Spiky Helmet, and suddenly this is not going to be such a trivial easy match after all. but I'm still feeling pretty good about it here. We've got the Rare Candy and the Crobat, so this is basically our ultimate board state against this Darkrai Giratina EX. So this is showcasing exactly the matchup. They've got basically a perfect start, all their Pokemon out, they've got all their meat shields. We have our shields up, 2 Oricorios and the Crobat on the Arceus. This is the ultimate matchup right here to see how well this deck can do. And this is where I think it's good for me to go ahead and shout out right now. Instead of waiting till the end of the video, I'll just shout out during the matches because they're pretty long matches. Some of the thoughts I'm having about ways to potentially continue to fine-tune this deck. I would say the number one thing that would be great for this deck would be to be able to get rid of these tools in the Darkrai Giratina matchup. So now you see also they went ahead and put that tool back on the back Darkrai EX. This has been happening a lot where they often will go ahead and run both tools out. And the card that's just immediately screaming to me is to maybe throw in one Guzma, but I'm not sure which card you would necessarily replace yet. Another very key thing that's going to happen is pretty much every time I get in this matchup, they're going to end up having a Cyrus, and if we get our Oricorio down to Oricorio down to 10 HP, then they're going to be able to get that Cyrus out, which is going to kill that one with 10 HP. So it's best if you can, I would say, to try to keep it at 30 HP. Then they're going to be able to bring it back in, hit it with the 20 damage from the Dark Energy, and if they manage to somehow get that first kill, now remember in this match, they were able to get that first kill because we weren't able to get the Ilima off because they kind of had that lucky red card. Of course, it's also possible you won't get that red card. There's a lot of different ways the game can start and can change whether it's going to happen or not, where they're going to get that first point, and once they've got that first point, if they're able to bring in that Cyrus on a 10 HP Oricorio, get the Dark Energy kill, then at that point, it's going to open you up to a potential Sabrina, and that's exactly what happened in this match. They Sabrinaed me, and at that point, the game was over. I think if you go back and really reanalyze this match, there were not only a lot of different things that end up making the matchup kind of complicated, and debatably I could have or should have made a couple different plays that were actually a little bit challenging, I think. But then there was just also that key red card at the beginning, keeping me from getting that Ilima off. Also, if we had potentially had a Guzma there, that also would have changed things a lot. I'm thinking if I was going to shave one card right now to try, for example, maybe a Guzma, I'd probably try to shave one Arceus off. All right, and we're going to showcase one final match. Once again, another Litten Incineroar EX deck. They're all over the place, like I said, again on our climb to Ultra Ball 4 and then ultimately to Master Ball. I thought this was pretty interesting, and I think you're going to be a little bit entertained if you stick around to the end of this match. In this match, I'm going to demonstrate why you subscribe to this channel, because just the amazing gameplay that you get here. All right, so starting off, once again, our game plan is set up one of our walls, ideally possibly with an Ilima. Maybe there's an Arceus up front. Here, we do not have the Ilima. We were forced to start with the Arceus EX up front, didn't have a choice on that. Then we end up getting red carded, which actually kind of helped us here. And if you look at these matches that I'm showing you, really, we haven't really had great opening starter hands. It's been looking pretty bad, and every match ends up either being a win or very close, aside from the one where I just totally steamrolled the guy with the Crobat. Let me say this again. I've been playing a lot of the Incineroar and Charizard deck, made videos about it. I think the deck is excellent and fantastic, but most of the lists are not running any kind of Sabrina or Cyrus action. So even though here we had such a terrible start, we weren't able to do anything with our starter. I guess I could have tried to just energy up the Arceus EX with 2 to try to retreat it back. I guess I could have maybe done that. So also it's possible I might have made a mistake there, but anyways, that's not what happened. I ended up deciding to build up the bench a little bit, build up the Oricorio, and basically we're just hoping to use the Oricorio to stall. Here I'm really searching for another Oricorio. Ideally, or a Crobat would be great too. Gonna start building up that Arceus EX on the bench. This happens a lot too, that you actually just end up building up one of these big Arceus EXs on the bench for a final game-ending swing. If my opponent had had the Sabrina there, they would have used it and they would have got a game win. So I'm really feeling pretty good here. Again, I feel like generally this deck doesn't run any kind of Sabrina type action, and we're seeing that they don't have it, or surely they would have used it there. So feeling pretty good that we have our wall set up and we're going to be able to take this game down. And we're going to use the Professor's Research, hoping for hitting a second Oricorio or a Crobat. Either one would be great. We get the Crobat. So now suddenly we're dealing 80 per turn. And here's where I have a really genius idea. Guys, only on this channel are you going to get gameplay this good. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to retreat the Oricorio, get rid of the burn. Then all we have to do is retreat the Crobat back for free. And guys, look at this amazing gameplay. This is what you subscribe for. Boom. Look at that. Look at this. Look at this amazing combo. But it ends up not working out. So I actually learned in that game that you're only allowed to do one retreat per turn. That's crazy. That has never come up for me in the entire time I've been playing this game. And so we threw away a absolutely winnable match. I think it was an unlosable situation, I'm pretty sure, in that situation. Totally threw it away because I didn't know that you only get one retreat per turn. All right, so as we often do in these videos, let's go through every card in the deck list, and I'm going to give you a quick final thoughts on everything in case you want to potentially play this. And I already have a few thoughts on how I might adjust the list that I've been playing so far. Starting top left with the Pokemon in the deck, okay, Oricorio, of course we're going to be playing two of those. Of course we're going to be playing two Zubat, two Crobat. This is like the whole idea of the deck. We have to play some amount of Arceus. I do like playing, so far, every experience, all the experience I've had playing rare candy decks, the one middle evolution, so one Golbat here also has always felt good as well. The Golbat is something I could potentially think about trying without. Again, I'm mostly just relying so far on my experience with other decks. For the 4 Arceus, this is again something that when I talk about potential cards to add, maybe I could try going down to 3 Arceus instead of 2, and then I'm really not sure which ones. I guess I would probably want to keep the 2 copies of the Arceus EX in, because it is pretty common that one of those ends up getting built up on the bench. But for now, honestly, the 4 total copies has been feeling pretty good. All right, and then of course you've got a bunch of other no-brainers, 2 Pokeball, 2 Professor's Research, 2 Rare Candy, 1 Iono feels pretty good. You know, this is a deck that's got a lot going on. It's going to be good to be able to shuffle that hand back in. And the 2 Ilima, I think there's no way to get rid of the 2 Ilima either. They've been absolutely amazing so far for me. I think Ilima is really going to be a really strong card going forward in the game. But if we were to trim, let's say 1 Arceus, maybe a Golbat, 1 card out of there, I think the number 1 card that we're looking for is something like a Guzma to get rid of spiky helmets in the Darkrai Giratina matchup, or something like maybe a Cyrus, probably a Cyrus. There's been a bunch of matches where I just needed that one Cyrus to close the game out and end the game, or a Sabrina, something like one Sabrina or one Cyrus, something along those lines, probably Cyrus from my experience. Or even just like a potion or something, some way to just fight a little bit better against the Darkrai Giratina whenever they're able to ping down the Oricorio. Even just like a potion would probably buy me like 1 important turn that I need. So I'll probably keep messing around with this deck. Let me know if you're interested to see more of this deck. It's actually been really cool and fun. And I don't know, is it just me, or like, did I like kind of invent this deck? I mean, surely not, because there's like millions of people playing this game, but I've never seen it before, and it's been really working really well for me. I've done really well with it so far. All right, thank you to all my subscribers, and if you're not subscribed yet, please consider it. And even more importantly, as always, this is a new channel. Let me know what you think of this format. I tried to include a couple extra matches in this one because people have been asking me for more matches in some of the videos. We'll see how that goes. Let me know what you think of this longer format versus the shorter format and just the video format in general. Any ways I can improve. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. See you later.